Welcome to the show, Josh.
I'm down to clown. I'm ready to optimize. Let's do it. I love between action and cut. There's nothing I love more.
What age were you when you first started getting into this whole wild world of entertainment?
I was 9 years old doing stand-up.
Wait.
I know.
Hold on. Is that actually true?
When you're that age, how do you even begin to contextualize all of this around you and manage it?
I just remember being on that set and thinking like, if this is it, I like this.
I make a mean bowl of beef. So every day when we were talking about this off air, losing 60 pounds, how I did it is I would make a huge bowl of meat. And I just feel like my bowl of meat could win on your competition.
What are we talking? Taco seasonings? Are we cooking it in tallow, ghee?
So I mix it up. So lately, my latest has been a big bowl of like venison and liver and organs. And then I'll put...
We're going deer meat?
We're going deer meat.
God.
This is a weight loss hack. Okay. And then I put raw cheddar cheese on top with raw farmer's market honey. There's nothing better. And if you want
hot sauce?
No. That's a different bowl. If you want to do an
cheddar.
In-N-Out bowl, you use the special sauce from Primal Kitchen. You chop up like some like lettuce, tomato, raw onion, perhaps. You could also do like a taco bowl of meat.
Welcome to the show, Josh.
This is it. I'm excited because you got like, I'm on the periphery of that stuff. I can hear the raw dairy. We're going to get along now.
No, but you're open to it because listen, we just had Whitney Cummings in here and I was grilling her because she's also in this Conover world. Hello, Dr. Craig Conover.
Love you, Dr. Craig Conover.
Yeah, you're
shout out.
Whenever I find anyone who's in the Dr. Craig Conover world, I'm like, oh, you're open. Like you know, because he will lead you down some paths.
I'm down to clown. I'm ready to optimize. Let's do it. Let's
You're
hack
in the raw
ourselves.
club?
Yeah. No, I'm not in the raw club. Do you do raw milk?
Yeah.
So scared.
Why?
Pasteurizing good.
Raw milk doesn't hurt your stomach.
But doesn't it, maybe it has like diphtheria. What does it carry? Botulism?
I have been drinking it my entire family for the last 2 years and I will never go back. It is so good. You got to get it from like a reputable farmer.
Sure.
You want to know where you're getting it
But
from.
Josh, I will say, like, the Wall Street Journal did this whole piece. It was kind of, it was like look what these crazy people are doing. Lauren was featured in the article. I was like,
you were?
I was like, look, Dad, we made the Wall Street because it's like the thing,
Any press.
of all the things that have happened in our lives. And I was like, what's my dad gonna be impressed? The Wall Street Journal. I'm like, we ever make the Wall Street? I'm like, hey, Dad, look, we made it.
You know what's good? Raw milk ice cream.
Yeah.
Raw milk in your coffee, little protein, little carb, little sugar before a workout. Great weight loss hack.
Have you heard about the egg yolk in coffee before?
I'm into it. Tell me about it.
It's just egg yolk, a little bit of sugar, maple syrup, and your coffee. Boom.
Sounds
whip
actually
it
pretty
up.
good.
I mean, it just makes it creamy.
They make cocktails
I'm
with
going
eggs.
to make this on my stories and tag you.
These two.
That sounds amazing.
I bet it's good. I tried it, got a little bit of the egg white in it. Kind of gross. But next time, I think you just have to be very careful to just do yolk.
Okay, so it's only yolk. It's not the white.
But if you have like a gin sour or a whiskey sour, they'll shake egg whites into it and you probably not notice that. It just makes it that like kind of like cloud texture.
But
That's
Josh, what if you added raw milk to the egg?
I'm open to the raw milk. It just scares me. And I'm a city boy. I'm in LA. So I don't know. Otherwise, I'm going to have to like sell my firstborn to Erewhon to buy like one pitcher of raw milk for what, $40?
It's probably very expensive. It's one of those things that, sorry, Michael, I just don't look at the price. Some girls buy handbags, shoes. I like my raw milk.
I have a feeling now, like when Lauren gets excited about taking people down the rabbit hole, we're gonna go down the rabbit hole. But before we go down the rabbit hole, let's go back with you a little bit. I'm sure many of our listeners are aware of you, fans of you. But when you think back, what was your first? Like, what age were you when you first started getting into this whole wild world of entertainment?
Well, I was 9 years old doing stand-up comedy in New York.
Wow.
So
Wait.
I know.
Hold on.
It should have come with like a membership to therapy.
You don't just be 9 years old and do stand-up comedy. What comes before that to get you to that place?
No dad. No, I'm kidding.
I'm like, well,
it's true.
is that actually true?
Yeah, I mean, I had a single mom. I was an only child. We were sort of like, I always used to say my friends with traditional families were like a corporation and my mom and I were like a startup.
Okay. That's cute.
Yeah.
I like that.
And so it's no surprise to me that my trajectory has been sort of odd and weird and different than most. But I was a funny kid. My mom was like an unrealized performer. And so as soon as she saw that I had like a small affinity for it, she basically just poured jet fuel on it. And so it began.
So how do you get on the comedy stage? She like made some puppeteering moves behind the scenes?
There's a newspaper for actors called Backstage, and it's very popular in New York, and it kind of has all like the castings. So if there's like a theater call or you want to be a swing dancer in the new Hamilton production, like here's where the audition is, show up at this time. So they'd also have agents and managers. So I'm reading it one day at 9 years old, and I see Sid Gold at Gold Star Entertainment. I represent kid comedians. And I went and met him in Times Square. Shout out Sid Gold. He's still very much with us. Love you, Sid. Adopt me, Sid. And he's like, if you get a comedy act together, I will put you up on stage.
What's a joke you're telling at 9?
Oh, man, awful, hacky bullshit. Not good.
Give us an example. Like,
I don't remember. I blocked it out. It was all terrible, but it was.
What were the themes? Was it like just...
I made fun of my mom. I made fun of kids at school. I did impressions. I did observational. What's the deal with school lunch? No, I don't know. Just terrible. But I was shticky and it kind of was funny and there was a novelty that I was young. And so I start performing and now I'm like getting snuck into Catch a Rising Star, Stand Up New York, Gotham, all these famous stand-up clubs like at 11 o'clock at night because they don't want to lose their liquor license.
So when this starts happening, was it sort of like a tumbleweed where you just got more and more and more and more?
Yeah, I went to performing arts high school. I got like representation. It was just sort of like being around it through osmosis. I kind of, found a bit of success.
How do you contextualize that as such a young person? Like, how do you, even now, you start to see young people, but they're, in their 20s or whatever it is. Like when you're that age, how do you even begin to contextualize all of this around you and manage it?
Contextualize it in the sense of I look back at it now as a parent and go, that's nuts.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking about. Like if my child in 4 years or 5 years starts, like that would seem insane to me.
If I think about it, like if you were a 10-year-old and you just really wanted to work at Chili's, it would still be ridiculous, right? Like, no, I just want to serve margs and make people happy. And like, I'm really into sampler platters. Like you would still be like, bet Johnny, like when you're 16, you can get a weekend or a afternoon job, but not right now. But again, we had this people always, of course, ask me, and I'm sure they ask you guys, like, are your kids going to follow in your footsteps? Would you want them to, become entrepreneurs or become an actor? And I say, I want them to be happy, but I just don't see them. They didn't have the same set of circumstances weighing in on where they were in life at the time that I was. Because if I had had a very sort of rock stable home, I don't think I could have moved to California to be on a TV show.
How did your mom manage protecting you in the crazy, wild industry? Like how does she even know what to do? Because now I feel like we've like seen a bunch of shit and social media has exposed a bunch of shit. How does your mom at 9 years old know what to do?
I don't know. I remember in, early on, there was sort of like, I would go to these castings in New York where you would be like amongst, 150 kids who all look like you. And you're there for 3 or 4 hours just waiting to go in and spend like 5 minutes for your audition for some, fruit juice ad or some toy company. And I think there was always this part of her that was like, you want out, we're out. Like, you want to go, let's go. Because she's like, I realize that this sucks. And so I think she allowed me to sort of drive the ambition side of it. And it gave me a lot of self-confidence and whatnot. I think I was lucky in that sense. But I think I was very lucky in that way, for sure.
It's interesting because every person who acted when they were a child says that their parents said, you can get out whenever you want. Yeah. The ones that have come on here that have had like a bad memory or a bad moment have all said that their parent was like a stage mom or a stage dad. And even Jeanette McCurdy.
Jeanette McCurdy?
McCurdy.
Yeah, she's amazing.
Her book is so good.
Incredible.
It's a good book.
Incredible.
And her book's called I'm Glad My Mom Died. And in it, the whole book, her mom is so up her ass to do the acting, to push her into singing, to push her. But it sounds like the key that's the common denominator is for the parent to say, if you want to walk away, we can walk away.
I think the key and not just subject to entertainment is having a parent who is healthy in that regard, that like supports their kid. It's not just an entertainment, right? We've seen crazy football dads who go and like punch out a referee with like 8-year-old peewee games. They're my favorite TikTok clips.
The baseball ones too are good.
But you're like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like you're crushing your kid.
Yeah.
Like you're crushing their spirit. And so we see it in every sense, whether it's music or academics or sports. So, but yeah, I mean, I think people like Jeanette was incredibly brave and the way she was able to articulate it in her book, that it was able to resonate with so many people, I think was it's such a coup and a testament to her and her talent and ability. And I think, inevitably in the industry, so many more safeguards need to be put in place and have been put in place since we were there, but so much more needs to continue to get safer and stronger, and redundancies and safeguards and overlooks, so that we know that like if we're going to allow young people to be in business, that they are protected at all times.
What was your personal life like when you were doing all this at that age? Like, were you able to go and run around with the other kids or go to school in a normal way? Or was it just, you were on set? And because I imagine that would be, it's normal for you, but very, like when I look back, I'm like, that would seem very abnormal.
It was. I mean, I was lucky in the sense that there wasn't social media. So I literally was going and doing this job during the day that I love that kind of comedy. I always say I grew up where my best friends were like the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and Ace Ventura and Billy Madison. I loved watching Family Matters. I mean, we're all in that same age group of like TGIF and those great sitcoms. And there's some quote where, comedy is justice. Because in a drama, what I like, you're allowed to not like, and vice versa. But when a joke gets a laugh, it's clear, right? Mm-hmm. It either was or wasn't funny. And what I loved about sitcoms was that instant, like, oh, the audience loved it. So I really enjoyed getting to do that kind of comedy, but then I would go home at 5:00 and I lived in like a little apartment in the Valley, and I had my best friend who, was going to normal high school, and we would like eat, microwave pizza and watch hockey games at his house. So I was sort of living in these two worlds of painfully normal and then very odd and abnormal.
What was your first big break that you had when you were a kid? And was it like this eureka moment, or was it not that?
I did this movie called Snow Day for Nickelodeon. And I remember they called me and they were like, at this time I auditioned at Nickelodeon 3 times a week for something, a commercial, a TV show, something that they had at that time. But I booked this movie and it's Chevy Chase and it's
Rad.
4 months in Canada. And it was like my first proper job. And I just remember being on that set and thinking like, oh, if this is it, I like this.
And what was it like? What was like being on set with Chevy Chase?
Being on set with Chevy Chase, I can't really speak to. What I can speak to is being in a hotel room with $100 room service allotment a day. I was like, this is as lit as one could be. Like, this is incredible. Like, and you become a family, and acting, or I should say movies especially, like you are this weird traveling circus of gypsies, of these people that are like, together making this thing, and they're mostly away from their families, and they're, you're spending 10, 12, 14 hours a day with each other. So you get really close, and then you have no one to hang out with after. So you all go out to dinner after. And I love that because I was an only child. Like, I loved having friends.
And would your mom travel with you when you were this age? Okay, sure. So she would. So it wasn't just you out, because a lot of actors just go out and leave their family, but your mom would actually come with you.
Yes.
What are the micro moments before you were like 16 that you can pinpoint that were just like big moments for you in your career?
Oh, I think like obviously, getting a role that brought me out to California to move out of New York when I was 14, and On the Amanda Show with Amanda Bynes, who's like the greatest ever, like
I love that show.
arguably one of our most talented performers, I think, ever, I would say. And getting to be around her and learn from her. I mean, she's a bit older than me, but it was truly going from like the minor leagues of, school plays and janky stand-up clubs at 10 o'clock at night to working with someone of her experience and level. I felt very lucky. And yeah, I think that was the moment, because when suddenly you're sort of pushed into this place where you're dealing with people that are at such a higher level and you can kind of keep up, where it's not a totally foreign language, you go like, oh, maybe I can do this.
Let's talk about one of my favorite partners that has been a longtime partner of the show, which would also be one of your favorite partners, and that is the farmer's dog. We spend so much time on this podcast talking about how to take better care of ourselves, our children, our families. We don't spend nearly enough time talking about how to take better care of the things and the pets that love us the most, which is our dogs. This is why Lauren and I love the farmer's dog so much. The farmer's dog makes real, fresh dog food and delivers it right to your door. Recipes are developed by vet nutritionists, made from real meat and veggies, and portioned just for your dog, making it easy to say goodbye to burnt brown balls and feed your dog real food with real benefits. Ever since we got our dogs on this food, they are living a happier, brighter life. They have less visits to the vet, their coats are shinier, and they're just, like I said, happy and thriving. It's smart, healthy pet food you can feel good about feeding your pup. It's the best option for dogs of all life stages because it's not kibble, it's not canned goo, it's real healthy food. Traditional dry and wet dog food options are highly processed, can use much lower quality ingredients than they claim to, and are extremely difficult to portion accurately. It doesn't matter if your dog is young or old, it's always the right time to begin investing in their health. That means more happy, healthy, and full years together. Of course, we have an incredible offer for you. Get 50% off your first box of fresh, healthy food at thefarmersdog.com/skinny. Plus, you get free shipping. Just go to thefarmersdog.com/skinny to get 50% off. That's thefarmersdog.com/skinny.
We just had Alex Clark on the podcast, and one of her skin tips involved Clarins. Clarins Double Serum is all the rage right now. This is a brand that's so nostalgic, but they've always evolved. And their Double Serum is absolutely amazing if you're looking for an all-in-one anti-aging duo. So basically what this formula does is it helps neutralize the visible effects of lifestyle and environment. So think like sleep, diet, pollution on your skin. They are so intentional about the ingredients. The reformulation that they have is powered by 22 plant extracts. Also, it has 5 active molecules. I've been hearing about this specific serum from a lot of different people, often on the show. Alex is obsessed with it. I am always someone who's looking for the best new skincare products, and this is truly a new holy grail face serum. If you want to smooth wrinkles, fine lines, boost radiance, refine your pores, this really leaves the skin looking very glowing and smooth. I like to put it on before makeup, and it doesn't give you like a weird consistency. It's kind of like a liquid gold. It's never too late to turn back the clock on aging, especially when you incorporate a solid multitasking product like Double Serum into your routine. You're going to see visible results in just 7 days. Go to clarins.com/skinny and get Double Serum for 10% off. You also get a free 8-piece welcome gift plus free shipping on your first order. That's clarins.com/skinny, promo code skinny. Clarins.com/skinny with promo code skinny. Peak tea is in my routine every single day. The one that I drink that I can't stop drinking is their ginger digestion elixir. I drink this every single night. I have this huge mug. It's from this restaurant in LA called the Ivy. It's like this huge mug. It's like as big as my head. And every night I put my ginger tea from Peak in there. And then I do a huge cup of piping hot water. Sometimes I add some lemon to it and I go upstairs and it's a ritual. I drink it. I enjoy it in bed. I read my Kindle and then I put my mouth tape on. I love Peak's tea because there's no tea bags, so all of those microplastics aren't getting melted into your teacup. But I also love it because they just source from the best of the best. I've been using these products for years and everything they use is organic. They even have like a matcha that I love. I love to do it with raw milk and it's like ceremonial grade. It's quadruple toxin screened for purity. And everything is designed with your health in mind. So they really try to support your gut health and curb sugar cravings. That's like why I love the ginger tea at night too. I feel like it's a really nice nightcap to the night. Sometimes I'll do it with like a magnesium water and I am good to go. My cravings are over. And I think that that's a big part of it. It's like I associate the wind down with the Peak Ginger Tea. Head over to peaklife.com/skinny, PIQUELIFE.com/skinny, SKINNY. You get 15% off and a free cup and frother. I love their frother. I use it every day. Plus free shipping for life when you start on any of my Peak favorites. peaklife.com/skinny.
Because you worked with Amanda and you also said earlier you would put all these guardrails in place. I feel like you have a really different perspective. If you could wave a wand right now and you could tweak the industry and things that you would change, what are those things that you would change for kids?
I think it's what we talked about before. Just again, having, immense safeguards in place in every way, and redundancies, and having, there's just no world in which that people on set shouldn't be completely and utterly protected at all times, no matter what.
When you say like, what do you mean? Like when it comes to like the business of their money, when it comes to like just being around adults, like I guess what I'm asking is I don't know what it's like to shoot a TV show. Like what's the day to day? Do you just mean like being around the right teachers? What does that mean?
I think it would pertain mostly to, having great teachers and the people who are on set who are like, their sole job is to make sure that like the kids are having a good experience.
Do they keep you guys on set for a long time?
Yeah, I think you work usually like you had to do school and then you had to be on set as well. Like
all day.
It's a lot of work. We were joking. Lauren and I did a commercial recently, and and even for 60, 60 seconds, it was like an all day thing, and we're used to doing this.
That's what,
Right.
It's just different. It's different.
Or like picking up a phone and doing this. It's like
it's normal for you, but it's not like for someone that's never been on set. I don't think people realize how meticulous it takes to get 1 minute of content.
Right. Yeah, podcasting is let's not mess around here. It's the greatest job on earth. If you can, but again, it's like there's millions. So a testament to you guys that you have found not only a successful pod, but a successful network and able to keep it going. But yeah, I mean, and that's what we found from everyone from Mr. Beast to really successful podcasters and everything in between. It's like the gatekeepers have become more inconsequential. And we were sort of all brought up in a way where for the last 70, 80 years, like TV and movies and traditional sort of creative ventures had to be one way.
Yeah, and there was a few people that decided who got the shine and who didn't.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a different question, like kind of on a tangent here. When you start to have success at that early of an age and you're making that kind of money that young, how are you able to be responsible, or were you not? Do the wheels fall off, or you're responsible? Like, how do you manage that success and that notoriety that young?
Oh, we didn't make a lot of money. So that helped.
That helps.
And I mean, respectfully,
but you're known.
Yeah, we're known, but it was like, again, there's no social media, right? So you're kind of like known to 13-year-olds. So it's very like you can sort of, I found, at least for me, I was able to sort of navigate it in a way where I was able to keep some semblance of self. And I was also like heavier and insecure, and in an interesting way, I think that was the silver lining. Like it was sort of my guardian angel because it kept me from ever becoming too impressed with myself.
Huh. That's so interesting. If you would have asked me when I was watching Nickelodeon, like little girl, all the shows, I would have said you guys are like multimillionaires.
No, I mean, I can only speak to myself, but that was not my experience.
When you went out with your mom and you're like out to lunch, and are there people coming up to you all the time at 16?
No, we could just go to Cheesecake Factory like civilians. Avocado egg rolls.
Oh, that's
What's your Cheesecake Factory order, guys? You're like, do they have raw?
I know. I'm like, I'm not.
Raw milk cheesecake.
Cheesecake Factory.
Raw milk cheesecake.
Isn't my, that's a cookbook.
Are you going to do a cookbook? I feel like that's next.
I should do a cookbook called The Bowl of Meat.
There's
different ways.
It's one recipe.
That would crush in Austin.
I started the series on TikTok, A Bowl of Meat with Me. You know what? It's. I could do a lot of things with a bowl of meat.
Bowl of meat up.
I know how to handle meat. Wouldn't you say, Michael?
She's a good meat handler.
Yeah.
I'll give her
My
that.
cheesecake order. I don't know what my cheesecake order is. Cheesecake Factory order is. I don't feel like we go there enough.
Heartbreaking.
I know.
Do you guys have like a chain restaurant you frequent?
Oh yeah.
What's our chain restaurant we frequent?
Let's get down. Let's get into the nitty gritty.
I love Javier's.
That's not a chain restaurant. We
Doesn't work. Chains, I like Mr. Chow.
I love
Beverly
P.F.
Hills
Chang's.
Does the
P.F.
Polo
Chang's-
Lounge count?
P.F. Chang's is great.
Come on,
Good
a salt
answer.
and pepper calamari with a brown rice. That's delicious.
Please.
I
Kung Pao
also
chicken.
love McDonald's. I fuck with McDonald's. Taco Bell. McDonald's, a cheeseburger, just cheese and meat, Happy Meal.
I don't care what anyone says. I used to work at McDonald's. I love a #1 Big Mac meal. I don't care. Big Mac meal with a
It's
side
great.
of 10 nuggets.
I can make a
Great.
Big Mac meatball.
You can make a Big Mac meatball?
Meatball.
Meatball. I believe that.
Does
Great.
that sound good?
And totally carnivore for the most part?
No, I eat sourdough toast every night. Yeah.
Why at night?
It's like her guilty pleasure.
No, this is
Like her treat.
actually what it is. I actually have a whole theory around it that I've never told you. I feel like I've worked so hard during the day, and I've put my work in, and I've done everything that I need to do, like work wise. And then when I get home and I'm in bed, completely relaxed, my kids are asleep, there is nothing better than crunching a piece of sourdough. It's like it's a nightcap.
There's nothing worse than laying in the crumbs
I don't give a shit.
after. I can't.
Figure it out.
It's my.
You lay in the crumbs.
Yeah.
She eats. There's crumbs everywhere. Don't
That's nuts. That's a what are you nuts?
It's-
In bed.
In bed.
you- yeah, I'm not.
Wow.
Yeah, it's too
What
much.
about on the couch?
Nope. There's
And then she gives it to our
In-
4-year-old daughter, and they like have a daughter.
we
mommy
have no.
bonding.
It's called our slumber party, and we have toast in bed.
And I come home and there's crumbs
Aw.
everywhere, sourdough crumbs.
Sometimes we'll do cinnamon raisin with raw butter and flirty cell salt.
Good for you. Same here, but for us it's Cheetos. No, I'm
Yeah,
kidding. I'm kidding.
Is
She
it
likes a
Cheetos?
spicy hot Cheeto with the red Cheetos.
What
Oh,
do you
yeah.
love a Cheeto?
Of course I love a Cheeto. I like the spicy hot ones, the flamin' hot. But the
Flamin' Hot,
problem is that there's evidence, right? Because these 3 fingers, they're
Yeah.
going to be red for 18 to
And your
36
tongue,
hours.
and your mouth.
Yeah, you also don't want to give a hand job after them.
Totally. Oh my God. It's like if you had
It really
you know,
disrupts his. Yeah.
Tiger Bomb on your hand.
Can you imagine?
Yeah,
imagine
Ben
if you-
Gay.
Have you seen Ben Gay as lube? That would be, yeah, that's cruel punishment.
I had a buddy that one time made jalapeno poppers before he took this girl on a date, and he got all the jalapeno oil everywhere.
He finger banged her.
No.
Why do you have to be like? People knew what he did, but it was a whole
Hold
problem.
on. Okay, well, let's talk a second. Let's timeline here. Let's get forensic about it. Okay, so he makes the jalapeno poppers around
I don't know.
4.
Yeah, but
4:30.
No, maybe not. Like he just made him there. Like he had her over at his house, and he made the jalapeno poppers. Which, by the way, that's a wild dish to select when you're courting a lady.
That's something
I mean,
I would
if your
do.
turn on is, bubble
But
guts.
he didn't know that you could get the jalapeno oil on your fingers, and that
I
the
didn't know
jalapeno
that either.
oil would
Who knows that?
transfer.
And then he didn't wash after.
No.
Not well enough.
And then they got during the frying they got all jazzed up and began.
No, I think they ate the meal, and then the oil was all over.
there was a post hooking up with the jalapeno poppers.
I guess so.
That's
It's
dangerous.
wild time.
Wild
Wow.
times.
But I
That's
remember
you-
him telling
that's
me the
being
story,
young.
and the girl was like really freaked out because obviously, like she's burning on fire, and he was, it's a whole thing.
I need to hear about your weight loss journey.
Okay,
Okay.
What a transition.
100 pounds that
Sure.
you lost without Ozempic. That's the new
know.
headline. That's the new headline.
Does that piss you off?
Not really. I wonder if it was available, if I would have even taken advantage. I would have. Shout out. I'm just waiting for the Mounjaro, endorsement. Ben, my co-host on the Great Good Guys podcast here at Dear Media, he always gives me shit for calling it Mounjaro. He's like, it's Mun. I'm like, sounds like someone on the shit.
Yeah, how do you say it? Monjaro?
Munjaro?
Monjaro.
Jaro.
Okay, so
Mounjaro.
how did you just why did you decide? Because there has to be some kind of epiphany. And then what tactics and tips did you take to lose 100 pounds? Because it's a lot of weight.
I was young, which helped. I was like 17. So in a weird way, it was like an excessive amount of puppy weight.
Okay.
Why do you think you put on that much weight to begin with at that age?
I overdo it.
You overdo it.
I just overdo it.
You're an
I
overdoer,
think
huh?
I'm a big overdoer. I think I had some shit that I needed to work out, in my life with dad stuff and life stuff. And I didn't know at the time that I was probably sort of like numbing that with.
And sorry, was your dad ever in your life?
No,
Never. And did you ever meet him?
no, I never met
Never.
him.
Did
And he passed away before I got a chance to. So
Oh, wow.
shout out
Sorry.
Dad. Perfect record.
Wow.
You have to be sorry.
Were your parents together when he passed?
No.
Okay, so just
Can you imagine if my parents were together, but I'd never met them?
well, I didn't
How does that make any sense?
No. Okay, it would be, no. Listen, I was saying like, where's your mom pregnant? And then he passed. While she was
Where's
pregnant.
Dad? He's downstairs.
saying?
Leave him alone.
Like my thought was like they were together. She was pregnant. He passed before you were born.
Oh, sure. No. They kind of had a sort of rendezvous. She was one of his concubines, and yeah,
Okay.
It was a random night in New York, and they did, and she became pregnant at 43. And
Wow.
yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Well, it does make sense because you're here
I
and you're
am
thriving.
Here. I'm thriving. I'm
It
very
all
lucky.
makes sense. Everything's happening for you. That's what I say
be.
to myself every morning when I wake up.
What other
Everything's
affirmations do you have?
That's my main one. Everything's happening for you. I believe that. So if I miss my plane, everything's happening for me.
Love that.
It works. It works great. You should try it.
It's so fucking
I like
frustrating.
that.
It's so goddamn. She'll be like, it'd just be like 4:30 in the morning. I'm like, you have to be at the airport in 30 minutes. She's like, no, I think I'm good. And I'm like, no. And then she misses. I'm like, she's like, everything's happening for me. I'm like, no, you. I'm like, you had to be up like an hour and a half before that.
Sure.
Okay,
You know?
I'm trying to get Josh's
Okay,
weight
sorry.
loss tips, please.
Everything's
Okay.
happening for us.
Yeah, go ahead.
everything's happening for me.
Explain your tips. How'd you even start? What was the first thing you changed?
It wasn't that special. I remember I was 17. We used to spend a month over the summer in New York. So I would
Okay.
go see all my friends and whatnot. And I just kind of I let go of a lot of that anger. And I don't know about the dad stuff and the life stuff and whatever. And just like angry young men, you know what I mean? That
Sure.
angst.
Sure.
And I started walking the city, which was my favorite thing to do. And I would like listen to music. And I just felt like it was possible. And I did Atkins, old school carnivore, love it. And and I probably knocked off like 30 or 40 pounds the first month or two, and then over the next like year and a half, I lost the rest of the weight.
It's probably super empowering when you see that kind of weight come off that quickly, right? Like you start to like, I can do it.
Yeah, it's helpful, and look, I understand why people are fascinated by it, and I think for me, had I done it sort of more privately, or I wasn't in such a public place, I think I probably would think about it, be less a part of my story, because it would just be like, wow, you were like, we'd look back at yearbooks and be like, geez, Josh, like, do you have a thyroid issue? And I'd be like, I had a Snickers issue. But really, I lost weight very publicly. And so understandably, people are very interested in it. So and I'm glad if in some way me being heavier on TV could like empower other kids who didn't fit like the perfect body type or whatever to be like, wow, he's having a good time and he's not tripping on how he looks.
Yeah. Well, I think people can see it's possible.
Yeah.
Right. And they don't feel like it's like a lot of people anything, right? They just feel like that's for other people, not for me type
Yeah.
thing. Right. And they see like, oh,
Or
somebody.
I couldn't do that.
Yeah, or like, but they see someone who maybe they see themselves in, or that they're relatable, or that's relatable to them. And they're like, oh, if he or she can do it, then I can too, type thing.
Totally. And the beautiful thing that has come out of sort of like the last 10 years of really this body positivity 180 is that there are all these beautiful body types and looks that are embraced and sort of they're just very well, people are getting roles now in ways that didn't happen when I was sort of on TV
Sure.
in that way. So I think that's great.
When people slide into your DMs, what's the most?
It's all bots.
No,
So
I don't
boring.
believe it. What are people saying? Are they like trying to hook up with you? Are they trying to reminisce? Are they trying to ask a question about a hot tip on how to lose weight? What's the common denominator?
I don't know. It's unhinged.
I know, that's
mean,
why I can't wait.
I'm
Why
pretty-
is it unhinged?
I'm very publicly married and happy, like married guy. So I think people are pretty respectful of that. And then it's a lot of bots. It's
There's
like-
no butthole.
No. Are you getting butthole?
I've got a throbbing, veiny penis multiple times.
Wow, Mazel. What's wrong with us?
I don't
What?
know. I don't know why. I've never understood like
My
this will get her.
favorite one, I haven't talked about
Yeah,
this one on the
that one.
podcast. My favorite one was when I got one of a guy fucking a dildo on a bathtub ledge up and down. And that one was unique. You don't
That
get
is
it.
unique.
But
Yeah.
it got your attention, and you're talking about it on
It
the podcast.
was years ago.
What, and was it just the video or was there a caption?
There was no caption. It was just the guy fucking the dildo off the bathtub.
It'd be nice if you put a little thought into
A
the
little.
caption,
I
right?
could have done a heart.
Like if you just wrote, whoops.
Yeah.
you
Or
know?
like, or wrong person. That's a good one. If you want to do it, you could say wrong. Taylor's done that. He's laughing so hard because he knows.
Taylor's
he's
gone. Taylor's not in the room anymore.
And then there was another one that I got where a girl cut my face out of every single picture of me and Michael and implemented her face into it. And then I had someone send me all these pictures that were of me, but with my face cut out with her face, saying that Michael was cheating on me. That was you. I mean,
She
there's got.
catfished
I
us.
feel like you got to get like an interesting. There's got to be a couple DMs that you're just like,
Shout out.
like crazy.
No, it's random. Mostly it's people asking me to be on their podcast.
Oh.
It's a lot of podcast requests. The one guy hits me up to be he's like, you seem to need a jeweler. I'm like, baby, I got 2 kids and a wife. The last thing I need is a high-end jeweler in Miami, dog.
Maybe it's trade though.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like, yeah, the jeweler hits me up a lot, and then like a lot of rando bots.
How did you meet your wife?
We met at a Halloween party.
What were you dressed as?
I was dressed as a waiter, and she was dressed as a pink lady from Greece.
That's funny. I gotta tell you, if a guy approached me and they were dressed like a waiter, I would find that
How does
very
one dress
witty.
as a waiter?
I'd find
Like,
that.
what do you just
What do you
carry
mean,
those
how
The
does-
white jacket
Oh,
and like,
okay, like okay.
I was vain.
like a
and
fancy waiter.
I actually had gone to a dinner before, and I'm like, what could I wear to the dinner that then would make me look, I was working at the restaurant. No, I
was like, where were you?
I got off early. But yeah, I was vain and wanted to look cute, and she obviously couldn't do anything but look cute, and it doesn't make sense why I got her phone number, and now 13 years later, we have 2 kids, we're married, and we've been together since.
And you guys sound like you have a very healthy relationship. What do you think is the key?
Her.
Oh,
Yeah.
hello. Take note.
Wow.
That's a good
Everything's
one.
working for
Well,
me.
Yeah,
I wish I could give the same answer.
What do you
Yeah,
think the
what's
key
the
to the
dynamic
relationship
here?
is?
What did my dad say? He's like, I don't speak and I don't hear. That's what he said.
Smart man.
man.
That's a smart man.
What
But I hear too much and I speak way too often.
All you
So
do
I don't
is
know.
speak.
We'll see what happens. Yeah, I speak for a living.
are you the stoic one in the relationship? Would you say? Less reactive?
Well, let's practice some self-awareness here, Lauren.
Go ahead.
I think it depends which day of the week you catch either of us on.
Fair.
I'm stoic in business for sure.
Hmm.
Maybe less stoic in my personal life. Like I have I look at like the business as like it's hard to rattle me. Like I know we've gone through COVID and all these different periods of time running a media company. Like the whole time I feel like I'm just like, okay, like we'll figure it out, fine. But the kid stuff and the marriage stuff, and like I can get rattled on that stuff easier.
Yeah.
The more personal, I guess the stuff that maybe matters more, I get rattled. Yeah, right.
It's fair. That's a good thing to care about.
Yeah.
Are you the more stoic one?
No, my wife is.
Why?
I think she comes from a family of athletes. Her dad was like a professional football player. And they're, Irish Catholic, beautiful people who are probably a little bit more chill in the emotional department.
I've never
and
heard Irish Catholic people described as more stoic and chill, but go
But
on.
wouldn't you say? I mean,
Yeah.
and smash down their feelings.
Yeah.
But yeah, my wife is pretty common, but she will get a little bit rattled when like I'm great when the kids are sick. Like I've also just always wanted to
See,
be a
that
doctor.
stuff rattles me. She's calm during
You
that.
like
I'm
when the
calm.
kids are sick.
I don't like it, but I'm fine.
You've been
Pull this
practicing.
out. That's gonna pull.
I'm not sneezing on them.
Josh Peck loves when his kids are sick. Headline.
It's the worst, but I'm like, I can handle it. I've got like and this is not medical advice, okay? So I know they're going to come at me in the comments, but like, do you have those, a lot of people bought them in COVID, the O2 meters,
Yeah.
the oxygen meters.
Yeah.
And, ideally if you're above 95, like that to me as a parent has bought me so much peace of mind for just those nights where your kid like might be a little croupy or might have like a little bit, I know I'm going to get just filleted in the comments here. I'm just saying.
No, I know what
that-
you're talking about because because for a kid it's scary when those numbers drop.
Well, no, yes, exactly. And especially like when they get colds or sinus stuff or whatever, and they've got a terrible cough and you're like, should we not go to urgent care? Like those moments where I like see that their numbers are good. And obviously I call the pediatrician, I make sure everything's cool. But it gives me a lot of peace of mind because I'm like, okay, he's fine. His numbers are good.
You need to buy one of those and
I have
be
it.
checking. You have it?
Yeah, I have it.
Okay.
Yes.
Mostly for myself.
I like to go off my intuition. Michael's a little more numbers like that. He likes to see the logistics, the behind the scenes.
Kids just like vomiting violence. Like everything's happening for me.
Not for little towns, but for me.
No, that's the stuff that like she's very good. Like when our kids get hurt or sick and I'm like, oh, she's like, calm down. She's good at that.
Oh,
yeah.
Really?
But like I would say in the
Oh,
business.
here it is. This is called a compliment sandwich. Go ahead.
But in the business, listen, in the business stuff, I feel like I'm more calm than you.
You know what? Whatever you want to think, I'm going to let you think.
What do you think?
I think that I am more even keeled than you.
In every situation.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I'm going to throw this back.
I'm not getting that here, just as the top of this triangle. But I'm willing to learn
What are
more.
you getting? What are you getting?
You have a wonderful effervescence energy to you. And I mean, granted, this is the first time we're meeting, but every interaction I've had with Michael has been pretty stoic.
Okay.
But I look forward to having more interactions with you.
I think if you saw him behind the scenes, he's a little, what's the word?
Careful.
Impatient. But that's
Oh,
okay.
I am
That's
too.
okay. He's self-aware about that.
I'm so, yeah, I mean, I'm very macro patient, micro impatient.
True. I'll give him that. I'll give him a compliment.
For example, I don't
That's
think you
my
can be
compliment sandwich.
either of us. I don't think you can be married as long as we've all been married if you're not macro patient, or I don't think you can build a career or a long-term venture if you're not macro.
I will say though, it works for him because he likes things the way he likes it.
But I can't sit around and talk about the breeze. Like we got to get to the point of whatever we're doing here.
Yeah, he likes to get to the point. He's a get to the point kind of guy. You know what I
like
mean?
we do these prompts when we go to dinners with groups. And we go around and like a prompt
They're
would
called
be like,
pot stirring prompts.
so like you could be there with a new couple and be like, what's the best sexual experience you've had prior to your relationship you've been in?
Wow, do you guys really do prior to your relationship?
Every single vacation, we go around a table of 12.
We'll find out. Like we get a big
It's like
group
Heaven's
together.
Gate.
It's fine. You'll come sometime and we'll do.
Yeah, you
like,
gotta come.
And you go and you,
Heaven's Gate. It sounds like, what was the other one? What was the club? Sanctum?
Yeah.
he came on the show.
He did?
Yeah. It was a wild episode.
Is it still going?
Yeah.
Okay,
he's got a new one.
I
now.
mean, I don't know. No.
So, yeah, you're like, oh, what's the number again?
It's crazy.
Yeah, he came on the show recently. But no, we do these prompts, and like one of the prompts are like, "What are your peeves?" I feel like you and Ben would have great. Like you
would have great answers.
We could just go.
What are your peeves?
Well, you have to be respectful. Look, in 90% of situations, I think this is a sign of ADHD. I can predict your answer, and I'm pretty right. 7 out of 8 times, like 7 to 8 out of 10 times, I'm right. And I would love to be like, yeah.
So you're saying
Like,
that
spit it
when
out,
you
spit it out.
ask a
Yeah.
question, you can predict what people are going to say.
Usually, or at least because I know my wife so well, there are many times where I could be like, and then what did your friend say that annoyed you, right? But she's got to tell me about the restaurant.
You got to
and
just
what they're eating.
Yeah, we got to know every detail.
Yeah, she's got to paint a jade. I love you. And you know what? So now I pause and go, of course she does, because I yammer about my I don't want to call it bullshit, but I talk about my like work and stuff that I imagine she finds insufferable. So I want to hear it, and then she gets to the little cherry on top.
Yeah, I think that's being married. That's a really good way to describe it, is you have to hear each other's shit all day long, and you do start to know what they're going to say.
Yeah.
I also know, like, I've never told you this.
Oh,
I
no.
know, like, how to react when he tells me a certain, like, or he gives me a certain mood. Like, if he comes in stressed, like, I now know how to act. I'll give
No,
you.
you don't.
Yeah, I
no,
do.
you don't.
Yeah, I do.
You make it. You stress
I'll
me
give
more.
you a good one. I know that when we're on a trip with our kids, that if I don't have things organized the second we get in the room, that he's gonna start with his stewing. So what I've started to do, you don't even know this, is the second we arrive, I start to organize everything.
Nice.
Just
Well,
like in
because-
piles. The vitamins are here, the frother's here, your weird creepy smoothie situation's here, like, and
You're
that
traveling
helps.
with a frother.
Yeah.
Okay. It's amazing.
No,
That's like that meme of like, if I won the lottery, I wouldn't tell anyone, but there would be signs. Just you packing a frother.
I got a hack. I Amazon most of the stuff because so for what we're traveling now with all the kids, and I'm like, we gotta get diapers and all the I'm
Sure.
like, we gotta. It's like a traveling circus with all this
You
stuff.
have a hack that's Amazon?
No.
Wow, that is
This is a hack for the parents out there.
Okay.
Most places, especially domestically, you can get things like day of or day after. So I
Okay.
just know where I'm going and I have everything shipped to the hotel instead of carrying everything.
That's smart.
That's Amazon.
But to the point, I travel with a little Ninja blender. I have it shipped there. So I get there. So I get my protein powder and all my stuff.
How do you
know?
do that when you have to go on set and you have 2 kids and a wife? Do they come with you? Do they stay? What do you do?
Like if I'm traveling for work?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, the dream is to get a long-term job in LA, but it's nearly impossible. Like I was working on a show for Disney Plus for 9 months over COVID in Vancouver.
Were you in a bubble?
Yeah,
Like
well,
a bubble town?
kind of. I mean, Vancouver, and it had such low cases. And so basically, I remember it was just my older son, Max. So end of August 2020, we get there. It's 2 weeks of isolation. So we get a house in North Vancouver, and it was my wife, her cousin, Sam, my son, and me. And it was incredible. It was like beautiful. And we just like stayed in the house. We had a backyard and we just ordered in food. And then it was 9 months of work and testing 3 times a week, masks. But they were with me, and it was kind of wonderful. Like we had this amazing experience together. But it's funny because we got home April 2021, and then I got another job in Toronto in June, and I had to go isolate again for 2 weeks. But now I'm alone because it was only like a 3-week gig. She's like, "You're doing this one yourself." So this time it's 2 weeks, just me in an apartment, much less romantic. I was averaging in that apartment, and I had a small deck, 30,000 steps a day. I was losing my mind.
Just pacing around?
I would pace and take phone calls and watch TikToks and like I would just pace and listen to podcasts.
Let me tell you about Fairy Berry Cheesecake. Okay. All right. So I have a friend named Ellen, and she makes the best cheesecake. And we put it on the blog. It's on the Skinny Confidential. And we made this cheesecake with Philadelphia cream cheese. It makes the cheesecake so creamy and delicious. You have to go look at this recipe. It has like raspberries on top. My kids absolutely loved it. It's the prettiest glaze on top. And basically what she did is she made a topping out of like red jelly and raspberries and put it on top of the cheesecake that is so creamy with a graham cracker crumble on it. I'm telling you, it's the best. And of course, the cream cheese makes all the difference. So Philadelphia cream cheese, you got to use that brand for Fairy Berry Cheesecake. If there's anyone that knows creamy, it's Philadelphia cream cheese. It's extremely versatile and can be used to enhance any meal, snack, or anything in between. Philadelphia makes everything creamier. There's a million ways to use Philadelphia cream cheese. I went on TikTok and looked at it. You can enhance your guacamole, make a pasta sauce, buffalo chicken dip. I have a pumpkin roll on my blog too that I make during the holidays. It's my mom's recipe. It's really special to me. But if you're in a pinch and you need a good dessert, go check out Ellen's Fairy Berry Cheesecake on the Skinny Confidential, made with Philadelphia cream cheese. Philadelphia makes everything creamier. Visit creamcheese.com for recipe inspiration and so you can start adding Philadelphia to your recipes at home.
This episode is brought to you by Squarespace. Squarespace is the all-in-one website platform for entrepreneurs to stand out and succeed online. Whether you're just starting out or managing a growing brand, Squarespace makes it easy to create a beautiful website, engage with your audience, and sell anything from products to content to time, all in one place, all on your own time. Are you someone that's been thinking about building your own online brand, your own store, your own merch platform, courses, whatever it may be, something to create a business or a company online, but you've been procrastinating because you don't know where to start? You don't know who to hire? We have the answer for you, and that is Squarespace. Lauren and I are such big proponents of owning your own content, your own brand, your own business online, and it's so hard to do so. We give so much of our IP up to these third-party platforms that we don't control. This is why we love a platform like Squarespace that gives you all the control and power. Whether you want to build an online store, create a blog, a newsletter, they have so many different capabilities. You can also build courses and subscription content, anything you want to monetize online, all cost effectively and all on the Squarespace platform. Long gone are the days where you have to go find 18 different developers and designers and people with exorbitant costs to build your own website or brand online. Squarespace makes it easy and affordable. And like I said, you can do it all in one place right now. So if you've been thinking about building that business online, but you've been procrastinating and haven't gotten started because you don't know where to start, Squarespace is the solution for you. So check out squarespace.com for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, go to www.squarespace.com/skinny to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Again, that's squarespace.com/skinny.
You know what, though? If this is a hot tip for all wives, if you want to remind your husband like how great you are and how lucky they are to be in your presence, a little absence is a great way to do it. Like what I do is I'll go away for 4 days and I'll be like,
won't.
yeah, I will.
Wow.
I did it.
How does
I
that
did it
work?
for a bachelor party. You freaked out. I
Lauren,
go away.
you did that once, like
I've
8 or
done
9
it a couple
years ago.
times. Sometimes I'll leave the house and go to the foot spa for like 8 hours and leave you at home. I think a little absence, like that's
I'm like,
kind
God
of
damn, this video
it's
game's
a nice,
awesome. I haven't had a chance to play it. It's like, man, I'm like, whatever happened to
It's
Lauren?
amazing.
Yeah.
You go to the foot spa for 9 hours?
No, I go to the foot spa
You
for
getting kneecaps rubbed? What's
4.
going on
I
there?
get everything rubbed.
Good.
4 hours, one person on each foot, and I get to work for 4 hours. It's
Oh, and you're on the laptop.
just on my laptop or my
phone.
phone or just working.
So when do drugs and
Well,
alcohol
that's
enter your
great.
life? When all this,
Solid.
like when it, like, at what point in your career do you start to kind of experiment with drugs and alcohol? Because we were talking about you've been in recovery. That's a topic that comes up on this show all the time, and we've talked about it a lot. But when does that start to happen during your career?
Funny enough, right after I lost like all the weight, I kind of
Oh, you were
just.
feeling too good.
I think I had a new body, but the same mind, and so it needed something to calm it and numb it out. And
And
then
what was the choice?
well, I'm 17 and I'm supremely stupid. As I said recently on our podcast, Good Guys to Miss Pat, I said, I was on everything but skates. So you name it, I was having fun, and
That's funny.
it just quickly became. It went from being like sort of 18 and just dumb, and if I was in college, you would just equate it to like just what people do and they're knuckleheads at that age, to being a problem. And I was lucky enough to get sober at 21, and knock wood, I've been able to stay sober ever since.
How did you
Congrats.
know it was a problem? Like when does it cross the line from where it's fun college to a problem?
I think what helped was that I had years of evidence when I was heavy. And as I said, I knew, I was like, Josh, you overdo it. Like that was the thing, like in all things. And so I had all this evidence since I was like 7, 8 years old. And a lot of that terminal uniqueness, right? Of just feeling like different than that. If I passed you in the hallway and I saw you, I was worried about what you thought. And if you didn't see me, then I was disappointed, right? Like I was just constantly at a state of discomfort. And so I found these ways in which to sort of numb those feelings, but it had diminishing returns. And so, at 21, I think when I did it through sort of traditional 12-step recovery, but I found these rooms, these meetings of people that were like me. It was a watershed moment because I'd walked through my whole life feeling so unique and so different, and you don't get me. And if you had my head on your shoulders, and you would drink too. But then suddenly I'm in this room of people, and they're not a glum lot. They're like cool and happy, and they have families and careers. And I'm like, oh, it's possible.
So when you would partake, was it to just numb out, or did you go party? And was it one of those things where like you crack one and like 15 later, you're like, I'm not done? Like what?
Yeah, every trite cliche, everything you see, and like I always try to like I try to talk about it in a general way. Just doesn't make for good clips, sorry, but like it doesn't because I know the way people like to run with like the one line from someone's journey in that way. But again, for me, like I know that it could even be working out, right? Anything done in excess can become negative. And
What do you mean the one? I feel like that's like, is that like media train? What do you mean? Like when you say like the one line clips, like you're saying TikTok will put a one line clip and they'll write a headline on you.
no, yeah, sure. Like there's certainly like a lot of, I guess my desire is not to focus on the thing, right? Because we know that like drugs and alcohol are, some people can handle it, and for some people it's not a great thing. I always try to focus on the recovery aspect of it, in that I had an issue, I overdid it. I think you could substitute it out with everything people overdo. I could get really into smoking cigarettes. I could get into overly spending, like you name it, right?
So how do you manage that in other areas if you know you're an overdoer?
Well, I think it's like that, right? It's that spiritual sort of journey that is very unique to everyone. But if you have that hole in the soul, you'll use anything to fill it up. You know what I mean? And so I think it's you realizing, there's that great quote of like, the two most important times in your life is when you're born and when you realize why you're alive. And so for me, that was like that moment of realizing like, this is something that I can't fill with success because I've been lucky enough to have a certain amount of it. I couldn't fill it with, cliche college experiences. I couldn't fill it with food. So it's going to have to come from the inside.
Do you think that a part of it, because it's interesting to me that you started using after you lost weight. Do you think a part of it is like you were self-sabotaging with the weight and then you stopped doing that and then you're self-sabotaging with something else?
Whatever you want to call it. I mean, I think you can give it a bunch of different titles, but I think the clearest one is my mind makes me uncomfortable. The way I think puts me at a resting state of discomfort, and I will use things to quiet that voice. And it wasn't until I found sort of recovery that I found a healthy way to quiet that voice.
And what do you do now? Like, what is your daily routines look like to quiet that voice and to stay in a good headspace?
Yeah, besides recovery, that's what I was just going to ask you. Are there other things that you do on a daily basis or on a weekly basis?
Yeah, I mean, I try to like get a sweat in every day, just get those natural sort of endorphins and dopamine and serotonin. And I try to, do selfless acts and not get caught, so I try to do good things and not get caught about it. I feel bad because I do put it on social media, but it's only to get attention to this great foundation I work with called Feed the Streets, where we actually we open up 2 sort of folding tables on Skid Row on Tuesday and Thursday morning. We hand out donuts and coffee and food. And if I start my day like that on a Tuesday morning at 7 a.m., like there's a good chance I will have a good rest of my day.
How are you going to do that with your kids? Because we have kids that are about the same age. Do you bring them along or will you bring them along? What do you think you're going to do to show your kids that?
I try to. During the holidays, I go to the LA Mission and we'll hand out food for Easter or Christmas. And I brought my son for Easter, and he's only 5 years old, but I'm trying to sort of instill that in him, and just this idea of like, I remember when he started to notice that sometimes people would take pictures with me, right? And I didn't want him to be inconvenienced, right? Because he only knows me as his dad, and we're out having a good time at Dave & Buster's or whatever, and I felt bad that he might be interrupted, but I also, of course, wanted to honor the people who were nice enough to come up to me. So I sort of said to him, I said, Dad has a funny job, and sometimes people like to come up and chat or take a picture. And I was like, and I'm sorry if it takes a few, a minute away or whatnot. I said, but we also get to do this is why we get a guide at Disneyland. I try to sort of say like, we also get to do some cool stuff because of Dad's weird job. And he kind of gets it.
The plaids.
So, yeah. Oh, you guys, you're not going general admission at Disney. You guys are getting the guides.
I just,
not gonna lie,
Disneyland to me, like it's got to be a seamless experience, because if you, it's a lot of work to just go and it's a lot. The lines, I feel like you have to go.
The last guide ate my big pickle.
Oh,
Everyone
he's not
in the
over
group got a
this.
pickle, and I looked over and went, "Where's my pickle?" And the guide was just crunching it down.
I gave
He deserved it, though.
He got too comfortable.
Do you know what he deserved? No, he deserved it. He was great.
What is Best Bite Wins? Tell us about this situation. It's executive produced by you.
It's my new show on Roku. It's a cooking competition show completely based around hors d'oeuvres. And so it's insane that it never got made before. But so here's an example. We have 6 chefs. They're incredible. Imagine every episode is, so Lauren and Michael want to throw a party, and the theme is health optimization. And you say, I want to use all raw dairy and we don't want gluten, or whatever it is, whatever your limits are. Maybe you don't like seafood. Maybe you want it to be more a wrestling theme. So then the chefs are tasked with putting together 50 to 75 bites inspired with these sort of like guides from you guys. And then we have the party, and the people at the party decide who wins.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Wait, why can't they do little bowl of meats?
You could put the parameter.
We'd have to find some very small ramekins, I think, for it to be a passable thing.
Okay.
But I'm down to try.
A bowl of meats, raw cheese, raw milk, and bowl of meats.
I don't know how many people are showing up to your party.
What do you mean?
I would come.
It's a party.
Do you know that Paul Saladino came on the podcast and
Did
he agreed?
Did he bring his own coconuts? That was wild.
He brought me raw honey.
That clip is wild.
I haven't
When
seen the
he
raw
He
brings-
does travel. It is, we've had the pleasure of sitting with Paul a few times, and he does travel with the coconuts and
Wait,
the honey.
what's so
and
wild
all
about the coconuts? I
He
don't.
had
I
a
don't.
sack full of coconuts.
He had a sack full of coconuts as his carry-on.
I mean, I don't think that's that wild. That's
No.
wild.
Me either. No, he's. I mean, he's very interesting.
He'd be a
He's
good
really-
guest for your show.
Yeah, I'd love to have
I would
him.
love
He'd
to
be a
see a good
really
guys
good guest for your
episode
show.
with
Right.
Paul Saladino.
But
That would be
Paul
hilarious.
said that
Love
meat
it.
essentially does the same thing that Ozempic does because it keeps you full and it curbs your appetite so you don't overeat.
Got it.
Just saying,
Got it.
Meat.
I hear that.
life
Well,
changing.
It's just if you increase your protein intake, you're going to be satiated.
Okay.
You know?
Who else? Who else are you guys into? And who's on the periphery? And who's on the outs?
What do you mean? Like
You guys like? I feel like you guys hang out with Aubrey Marcus a lot
No, but
No.
Aubrey's been on the show.
Do you know
he's-
something funny? No.
because he's an Austin guy.
We hang out with just like our friends that we've had for a while. We don't hang out with anyone.
You know what's
in-
so funny, and maybe you'll relate to this. When you do something like this, it requires a lot of like draining the social batteries. Would you agree? Like you're doing,
Sure.
like especially like you're just doing this a lot, and so when we get a moment, like we were talking about Texas out there, we get a moment at home. We're just like,
We're done.
let's kick the feet up,
No, there's no
watch a
hanging
show
out
together, chill
Love
with the
it.
kids.
with.
No,
Love
we're like
that.
actually kind
Yeah.
of boring. Like, and I think people that come on the show are looking for us to be more exciting. And
But don't you think that's
maybe
the
we're-
same with you with Hollywood? Like if I were to say, "Oh, are you hanging out with?" I mean, you've. It says on here that's like Kathy Bates, Diane Keaton, fucking
Stamos,
Tom
yeah.
Hanks. It's
Good
like,
old
if I
Stamos.
really Matt Damon, Robert Downey Jr. Like when you leave, are you like hanging out in the Hollywood crowd, or do you just
Maddie
want to
D?
go be like just be chill?
Yeah, dude. I mean, I'm 37 too, and I've got the kids and my wife, and I find I think that's a saving grace for all of us, to be honest, is that like, I love this. It's so corny, so forgive me. I love between action and cut. There's nothing I love more. I find it transcendent. Like when you're there and all your preparations there, and this is just a 60-minute action and cut,
Sure.
right? Like this is the moment.
Yep.
Everything else that surrounds it, I have little to no interest in.
We had. Are you familiar with
We
Ryan?
get
Are you,
it. You just said it way more
are you
eloquently.
familiar with Ryan Holiday's work at all?
So Ryan, I wrote a book.
Okay.
Ryan Holiday is a good friend, and
Good.
he was my sort of book coach.
Amazing.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
Love
And
that.
your memoir is called "Happy People Are Annoying."
So
Yes.
Ryan's been a friend for a long time, and he was recently on the show, and we were talking about this because he was like, you get these opportunities to go and do the thing, and it takes a long time to do the thing. And then once you get the thing, like you start getting all these like random opportunities where you get invited to maybe some of the soirees or the things. But that means like if you say yes to those, it means you're obviously saying no to something else, like no time with your kids or your wife, or like no time for. And I think like to your point, Lauren and I get so excited about this and meeting the people we get to meet on the show, and then excited about time with like the other stuff. There's maybe some times that it's interesting, but it's less interesting compared to all the stuff that we actually really like to. Like you know what I mean? Like, and it's a lot of smoozing and a lot of this and that. It's a lot
I'm
of
not a big schmoozer,
high
but
fiving.
I always look through it a lens: is it worth being away from my children?
Totally.
And if it's a no and it's social, I'd rather be marinating with a little bit of sourdough toast with a little bit of fleur de sel salt in my bed.
But if Dr. Craig Conover comes into town, we're going to dinner.
Yeah, I'm dying. I've never met him in the flesh.
Oh, he's the
I
best.
know.
He's the
I'm
best. He's come on here a few
ashamed.
times.
He's helped me with a bunch of stuff, but I remember because I have a small part in Oppenheimer, and we got to go when the movie won the Golden Globes. We got to go to this party after that Universal threw, and it was like one of those rare moments. And it was like me and some of the smaller parts people, like the scientists and whatnot. And then they usher us into this room for a great photo. And then Robert Downey Jr. walks in, and Matt, and Christopher Nolan and his wife Emma, and it's just fabulous. And it was like that was one of those rare moments where I was like,
That's cool.
I can't believe I'm here. I'm so glad I came. Because when you have kids, it's like right to the last minute, you're like, I could not go, right?
You're like, oh,
I could not go.
fuck.
Yeah.
You're like, oh.
And that like
That's how I-
you'll regret it or or you'll feel bad for 7 minutes.
No, you had to go to that. That's worth it.
And that was
That's a worth it moment.
a gift and honor to be there. I made no sense being there.
No, but that's like a monumental,
That's a monument.
really
That's
cool
a moment.
moment.
But I
don't need to go to the
that's-
cocktail party up in a hill somewhere with a bunch of people that I don't really know, like standing around, like, how do I behave in here? It's like that I'm not interested in.
I know, unless there's good gifting, unless there's something free.
I don't think we get invited to
I'll
those
say
ones.
it. I'm just gonna say it.
Yeah, it has to be, unless it's sanctum.
No, yeah, well, you're gonna get something free then.
Before you go, why are happy people annoying? Like, what's the premise of that?
It was my book agent thought it'd be a great title.
It is a good title. It's a really good title.
No, in full, it was her idea, and she was brilliant about it. But I don't know. At first I was like unsure about the title. I just liked it, and I felt like it was good for the book. And then now it's even grown on me in the last couple of years.
It's funny.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's just because I always had this image of these Finnish people that were all walking around, and they just seemed like they got this manual on life that I never received. It got lost in the mail. And sort of finding my own journey of like how to land in happiness or have some fleeting version of it that comes and goes like the weather, has been my kind of life's journey. And to feel that sometimes, especially those weird, I walked my son to school today, and my little guy who's 2 years old was in I call it a carriage, the stroller. And I just looked at the back of both their heads as we're walking. And I was like, remember this, remember this, remember this. And those are the moments.
Those are the moments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what you give the party up for, to do those moments.
Yeah.
Special moments. Josh Peck, you're welcome back anytime.
Thank you.
Truly, we talked about all different kinds of things. You can come back anytime and we can let it rip.
And
Maybe
I have to
next
give
time,
you a
Ben.
compliment, which maybe I might get shit for later, but we have a lot of great podcasts on Dear Media. I tune into you and Ben's clips all the time. I laugh hysterically. You guys are so good at what you do.
Honored.
Natural
Thank you
chemistry.
for hosting us. We love being here. This is great. Let's go eat a meatball.
I would love a meat bowl.
Yeah.
We could do like a good guys meat bowl.
I like it.
Let me think about what would be in that. A lot of sausage, finely chopped.
Some kind of sauce.
Ouch.
Yeah, a little ketchup for some.
Ketchup. No,
Wow.
you cannot put ketchup on the
Too
meat.
much sugar and ketchup? What do you
Not in
think?
Primal Kitchen.
What? Okay. So are you really doing McDonald's and Taco Bell every now and then?
I do McDonald's every 2 months when I come back from a trip and I'm feeling depleted and I just want a little.
I used to
something.
work at McDonald's, and there's something
Yeah.
nostalgic to me about it. It used to be a number 2 was the 2 cheeseburger meal, but now I think they've changed it. But the number 1 is always the Big Mac, right? Taylor, they didn't change that.
Always.
Yeah,
Always
number
number
one
one.
still.
Number
I'm
one.
a single cheeseburger man myself.
There's something about a McDonald's Coca-Cola and the nuggets on the side. It's like you can never go wrong. I think listen, I love Paul Saladino and a lot of people that come on the show. I'm going to eat a fucking Big Mac if I want a Big Mac, right? I'm going to live a little bit. Like what I think sometimes with these guys and these girls that are so on this crazy health kick, and maybe I get labeled that as sometimes when it comes to the people that come on the show, is like, my whole thing is if you're doing it right most of the time and your body is resilient enough to get rid of the bad stuff in your system, like you have to be able to do that. Like when, I love guys like Huberman, and he's been on the show when he says, okay, like how many drinks is too much? And I know this is not for people in recovery, but he's like, okay, 2 is the max. I'm like, listen, man, if I'm only going to have 2, like I just don't want to do it at all. Like you got to live a little.
Interesting.
I got to have a Big Mac. I want to
That's
have
my thought on it
like,
too.
you think, 2, like,
Right.
I don't have rules around the way I eat. There's no rules. People keep asking me if
you
I'm a
can't be
carnivore.
so scared of a little bit of, comfort food or poor food choices once in a while. Like if you're that rigid,
If
you
I
got some
can't have
other
a piece
issues.
of sourdough in my bed at night, what is the point?
What about a nice piece of Wonder Bread? Get
No,
real gross.
I don't like a Wonder Bread.
Of course not.
I've
some
never
people
had
do.
Wonder Bread ever.
Does Wonder Bread sponsor any Dear Media show? We love you, Wonder Bread.
Wonder Bread,
is
I'd
Wonder
love a
Bread
deal.
the blue and the green or the blue and the yellow and the red
Yeah.
thing?
Wonder Bread.
White bag.
But because sourdough bread is sort of like acclaimed as like, if you're going to eat any bread, it's, what is it? It's already fermented.
It's fermented, but it's so good.
Good on the biome.
You don't think so?
I love sourdough.
Yeah,
I get
there's-
it from the farmer's market.
Ah.
Could you imagine all of us in a farmer's market in Austin with our children?
Why
Great.
don't you come to Austin?
Have you been out there?
Go. Let's
We'll
get
go
a compound.
we'll go to the farmer's market.
I was
Get
going
a
to say,
compound.
you guys were doing the kind of like the lockdowns and the bubbles, and you were guarding against COVID, and we just went to Austin, and there was no COVID in Austin. There's
Wow.
none. They just said,
Wait, so
Texas,
you're
no
already
problem.
drinking your raw milk and having your raw butter if you're going to the farmer's market.
You're halfway. You're like 90% of the way there.
Yeah.
I
Next time you come
know.
back, you'll have a glass of raw milk,
What?
some raw meat,
I'll be on
some
TRT.
organs. Yeah.
TRT, you know what?
I'll step it up.
S-
And then a little HGH. Why
peptides.
not?
Yeah.
Yeah, a little Ipamorelin.
Dr. Conover, pimp him out at Conover Wellness. We love him. He's a mutual friend of us all. Josh, where can everyone find you? Pimp yourself out. Tell us about where to get your book and where to watch your show and where to listen to your podcast.
Good Guys podcast here at Wonderful Deer Media. Available anywhere pods are available. And Best Bite Wins coming out in October on Roku.
So cool. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you,
Thanks
Josh.
for
You're the
having me,
man.
guys.